he said, I can't explain it now, but can you have like a half gallon of 2% milk in the car when I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, I can do that.
Welcome to Sunny Side Up Podcast. I am your host, David, and today I have with me
Matt Haran. I'm owner of World Class Detroit Car Service.
Okay. So when did you start doing that?
So I started World Class Detroit last November, so I'm coming up on just about a year. And it just stemmed from a desire to leave my corporate communications career and do something completely different.
So, so for those of you that don't know, my brother worked with Matt for how many years?
I worked at Bosch for 9 years myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that like when you had the idea to start the business and then you said, all right, now is the time to transition to self-employed? What was that like?
So I just reached a point in my career where I wanted to change. I had been doing corporate communications for about 23 years. And I really didn't know what else I wanted to do. So it's not like I retired from Bosch to do something else. I just wanted to retire from Bosch, retire from corporate communications in general. So I did that at the end of 2021. And then I took a couple of months off and just kind of relaxed and decompressed. And so I started thinking about some things I would like to do. And I applied for different jobs and none of them really grabbed me. I started driving for a local car service and I just really enjoyed the work. I liked dealing with clients. I liked being on the go, moving around and things. So I said, this is for me, this type of work, because I could build relationships with people. It was very social, but I'm being active. I'm not doing emails and Zoom calls. I'm moving around and interacting with people, and I loved it. So I wasn't happy at that car service, so I started thinking, well, maybe I can do this on my own. The clients like me. I have a good start of a client base, and so I started doing it, and it's just grown from there. Just referrals, and most small business owners I've talked to will tell you that just the referrals. If you do good work, people tell other people, and it just grows from there.
Mm-hmm. Was it like Uber that you were doing before, or?
No, it was another chauffeured car service.
Okay.
So, pre-booked people, pretty nice cars, meeting people at the airport or or taking them to concerts or proms and things like that.
So when you started this, did you have your daily driver car to drive, or was it like, how did that work?
I got a chauffeur's license through the Secretary of State.
Okay.
And then when I started the business, I created an LLC, and I got commercial livery insurance. Basically, I'm licensed through the state of Michigan through the insurance bureau. So I think it's really important when you're starting a business to do it right and get all the proper licensing and insurance and things like that.
So when you started, what was the chain of events? You said, all right, I want to start my chauffeuring business to like your driving and your established business. Like, what was that?
Yeah. So I was driving, like I said, for this other service, and I just felt I could do it better. I felt I could provide a better service at a better price. So in my mind, I started thinking, how would this work? If I started my own company, how would I do it? So it's probably, I would say, it started occurring to me in maybe April or May of 2022, and then I actually launched by November of 2022, where I had basically the website created, I had my logo done, I had all those different steps you take. I kind of put together a basic business plan, and I PowerPointed myself, put it all in, like, what are my costs going to be? What are my challenges? What am I trying to accomplish? What do I expect my revenue to be in the first year? And amazingly, I've exceeded my revenue goals in my first year, which I'm very excited about. Now, the costs are very high, and so my costs were a little higher than I expected. It's a very high-cost business. But for me to achieve, exceed the revenue that I was expecting in the first year, I'm just ecstatic about that.
That's good for you, man.
Thanks.
Exceeding revenue. I mean, I think, most businesses don't turn a profit until like what is that, 3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's a bit, what's nice is it's a very simple business. You know, once you get your vehicle and you get your insurance and your licensing, it's, you know, it just becomes word of mouth. And that is something I've been really surprised at, the power of that. You know, I knew it would happen. I knew that word would spread. You know, you do good work, but the speed that happened, I had the number of runs. I was projecting a certain number of runs by the end of the year. I had that number of runs per month in the first few months. Now there's been ups and downs of that, but I hit that first kind of target pretty quickly. And so now it's almost me trying to understand what is the seasonality of the business. I had the biggest October. I had a huge October. I did over 100 runs in October when my average had been between 60 and 80. But now, is that just because October is a big month in general? I've got a pretty good bookings for November. Is that just because we're into travel season, vacation season? You know, what does January look like? You know, so it's all still new. Basically, I've been through 1 year cycle. It's hard to know patterns necessarily in that. So my newness to the industry is a little bit of a, you know, a barrier in terms of my understanding of what to expect. But I'm just having fun and it's exciting and I can see it growing.
Yeah, when you're talking about the word of mouth part, one of the guys that I had on was McQuenda, and he does videography, and he was saying the exact same thing. Like, you can pay for advertising, you can have ads run, whatever, but the best advertising is your friend saying, "Oh, go with Matt."
Absolutely, absolutely. I've had people book me. They said, "I didn't even look at your website. I didn't look at anything. So and so told me you were good. I'm booking you." And then I've even had somebody refer me to another person before they had even used my service. And I said, how do you do that? You haven't used me. How did you tell a friend about me? Well, John's word is gold in my book. And if John thinks you're good, then I'm very comfortable referring you to a friend if John says you're okay. So it's really powerful, that whole referring business. And that's why I've put a lot of focus on Google reviews and encouraging my clients to not only refer me to their friends and family. I'm very grateful they do that, but if they would give me a review, because I've found other people say, "I read your reviews and that's why I decided to book you." You know, so reviews are very powerful as well. It's kind of a secondary word of mouth, but it's powerful in itself.
Yeah, one of the guys that is up north, he does like general contracting stuff. And I mean, I haven't talked to him about it, but I doubt he's ever done any advertising ever. And everybody knows Mike.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, in a probably 50-mile radius, everyone has heard of Mike. I mean, he's extremely hardworking. He's very honest. Like, I remember one time he had sent somebody out to do a job, and I guess the job wasn't done correctly. And so the homeowner had said, "Oh, can you come back and fix it? And I'll pay you." He said, "Pay me what? I'm not going to accept money for the same job twice." Like,
right.
You know, and right. I'm sure a lot of people would say, "Oh, I guess I'll take money," and, you know, this kind of whatever. But he's extremely honest, and he does great work. And also, too, if he doesn't feel like he's equipped for the job, he won't do it.
Yes.
So it's, you know.
That's true. You've got to be willing to turn that business away. I had a client contact me a week ago, and she said, "You know, I've got 7 people. I know you seat 6. Can we squeeze in your car?" I said, "Honestly, you will not be happy. It will be an uncomfortable situation." I could have said, yeah, and I'd take a few $100s for it, but they were not going to be happy. They were going to be uncomfortable. So you've just got to be willing to say, "No, I'm not taking the money. This is the right situation for you," you know?
And I would imagine, I mean, for your business, how you make customers feel is like the most important part. And if they're scrunched in the car, I mean, you have a big vehicle, but if they're
Right.
scrunched together
Right.
shoulder to shoulder, they're not going to remember that as a favorable experience.
Exactly, and they're gonna, and then, they'll say, "Oh, he knew this was not going to be comfortable." Whether I did or not, I had to go with my gut on that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when you just said, how you make people feel, that's really the ultimate. That's what I'm offering and providing through my car service. Anybody can have a clean vehicle, a nice vehicle, a luxury SUV, but the difference is the chauffeur. Really the difference between me and all these other services is I feel like I'm a good conversationalist. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make things right if they go wrong. And so just the product really is the chauffeur. And that's me. But then as I grow, it's making sure that I hire the right people that will represent world-class Detroit in terms of the chauffeur side, which is the most important.
Yeah. And that idea of it's not the car, it's the guy driving it.
Yeah.
Like I've heard with the soldiers, you can have the most accurate rifle on the face of the earth, but if it's not the right guy shooting it, then
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yep. It's a person.
So what have been your biggest struggles with the business so far?
I would say the biggest struggle has been now that I'm at the point where I'm busy, I'm getting busier and busier. I'm almost getting to capacity of what I can do driving. I have to rely on other services because what will happen is I can drive someone, say, to the airport for their departure, but I'm booked already at the time that they're coming back. And so I have to find other services. And, my pricing is lower than everyone else. So I have a hard time finding services that will do it for the price that I want them to do it at. Also, just the general customer service attitude. The customer service mindset just isn't the same among these other services that I have. So that's the biggest challenges. Right now I'm getting full and I'm really close to being able to add another car, but until I can add a car, I have to rely on these other services and just haven't found great partnerships yet.
Mm-hmm. Do you have like an assistant or a booking agency, or like how do you manage that?
No, I basically book everything myself manually, okay. And I'm holding off on getting an online booking tool until I add another car. And once I add another car, I'll really need to have an online booking tool that will integrate with my website. So I've got that all lined up. I've got one picked out. Right now I'm doing things a lot of manually. Clients will text me and I put it into a spreadsheet a Google sheet that I can reference on my phone, but it's very manual at this point. And I'm actually very much looking forward to implementing an online tool that can make that more, less manual than it is now.
When do you think you would move to that point?
I would say probably in the next 2 or 3 months, I'm going to add another car, and at that time, I will add the online booking tool. Yeah.
How do you find drivers for that? Because obviously, you won't be driving 2 cars.
Yeah. So you just meet drivers around, at various venues and at the airport. But this particular driver, who will be my second driver, I met at the car service that I had worked at.
Oh, you already know.
Yeah, I know it. I have him lined up, and he's ready. In fact, he drives my car when I'm on vacation or I want to take a day off, and I just want to. He takes my runs while I'm gone, and he's all cleared through my insurance to drive my vehicle. And he's a very experienced chauffeur. He's done it for 15 years with that car service. So I feel very comfortable that he knows what he's doing. He's very good with clients, and he'll be a great addition once I can add the car.
Yeah, I would imagine that as you get bigger, you'll have to find people that you don't know.
Yes,
to drive your
I will
cars.
Be in the same. I will be in the same hiring position as everyone else after Dan. Dan is his name, and I'm excited to add him. But after that, there's another person that I think would be good, and it'll have to see how the timing is for that person and what he's doing. I know he's got other plans that he's pursuing, but also enjoys chauffeuring. So I might have a third After the third, it's like it'll be the Wild West. Just trying to figure out. I'll be in the same boat as everyone else, trying to find good help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there different insurance for like hiring people to drive your vehicles, or how does that
Yes.
work?
So in Michigan, you need commercial insurance. I think the line of business is actually called livery. It's like taxis, but also luxury limousines and SUVs and things. So you need $1 million liability coverage. Only a few carriers offer it in the state because Michigan is not a good state for auto insurance, just in general, but especially for this, which they consider riskier line of business to insure. So the premiums are very high in Michigan. It's a big cost for my business, but it's just necessary for a business. You've got to be protected. You've got to have your clients protected in the car.
Yeah.
But it's commercial auto insurance.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Especially when you're starting out, these little expenses like insurance, it's not like that's a tool that's going to benefit you in the business. It's just something that you have to have.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it can be frustrating because, like, my brother and I were talking about doing junk removal,
Mm-hmm.
and you need your liability insurance, and you need insurance for the trailer, and everything. And it's like the trailer is going to be making us money, not the insurance, but it's like you have to have it because
Yes.
Yes,
it is, and it is frustrating when it's kind of. I knew going in it was expensive, but it's really exorbitant, and it's a real challenge. Yeah.
How many different expenses are there that you have to? I mean, I know gas and whatnot, but
Yeah.
like how many different ones are there?
Yeah, so the big ones are insurance, fuel, repairs and maintenance of the vehicle, and then you get into things like the car. When you pick up people from the Detroit airport, you have to pay $10 to pick them up. So I'm going to spend at least $3,500 in a year for parking coupons at Detroit Metro Airport to pick my clients up. Then there's credit card processing fees. That'll be another $3,000 to $4,000 in a year. So I think those are the major ones. There'll be incidentals. Licensing is like $125, and there's just little ones that add up. Now I have an additional cost that other services don't, which is I provide water, pop, and juice and snacks in my car. So that's an additional cost that I choose to differentiate myself from other people. Especially the water. People love getting in the car and knowing there's a cold water there. But sometimes, they like the snacks. I drive for Make-A-Wish, Michigan, and, the Make-A-Wish families get in the car and they love the snacks. They go right for the box. The concert goers like to. After the concert, they're listening to the music. They're hungry for the ride home. So it's a differentiator for me, and I'm willing to take on that cost because I think that's a real value add. It's one of the ways that I separate myself from my competition.
You said Make-A-Wish?
Yes.
Okay. How did you get, did you call them, or how did you get?
Yeah. So Make-A-Wish, I just decided I wanted to do something charitable for my business, and that just made the most sense to me. It's like, these people are always going on these nice trips, these poor families who are dealing with very serious illnesses. And I said, you know what? That's a low cost way. I'm basically volunteering my time. I'm donating my gas, but it's mostly my time. And so I told them I would donate a round trip each month to take one of the families to the airport for them to go on a nice trip. And then I said I told them I would discount other rides for them. So it's a really good deal for them because my prices are very much lower than the other limousine services. So when I give a discount, it really makes a difference for this nonprofit that's doing such great work. So, they've been really happy with my work. Their families have given them very positive feedback about me. So they've been sending me more and more trips to do, which I love. They're some of my favorite runs to see these families who've been so challenged get rewarded and enjoy something and get to do something nice for their family, because they've been through so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with them?
I just called them up. Them up and said, hey, I want to donate my services each month, and then I'll discount. If you want to book me for others, I'll discount the other ones. So I was just proactive, and I had no agenda about it. I just wanted to do something. It turned into a great relationship, but I was really just trying to say, what can I do charitably? I always thought that to myself, if I ever started a company, like what, having a charitable kind of cause, a bent is, I think, just important to have, just as to be a good corporate citizen, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to jump back to like the leaving work, like, or, the corporate life part. When did you first have the idea for starting your own business and not working for a company?
It's funny. When I went to college, I went to the University of Detroit, studied communications and English. I always kind of was conditioned to get a degree, go work for somebody. It never even occurred to me to do anything entrepreneurial. It just was never even on my radar. So, and it never really occurred to me. I mean, this just came about in terms of retiring from a corporate communications experience. I think the factors were my parents had died in the span of a few years, and I turned 50, and I was just getting tired of the work I was doing. So it was more like that kind of restlessness of wanting to do something different, really not knowing what I wanted to do. But COVID hit. I loved Bosch as a company, but I'd been there a long time, and I just wanted change. So it was more of a restlessness, and then I just made the decision. Financially, it made sense that I could retire from Bosch and take a few months off and just totally just step back and just catch my breath.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole, like I said, I started doing something different, and it grabbed me, and it's just, life is what happens when you're making plans. I don't remember the exact quote, but it's a John Lennon quote. It's like, you may be making plans or you may not be making plans, but your plan will reveal itself, and that's what happened with me. Yeah.
And I mean, talking about loving what you do, I mean, I love doing this. And like I mentioned before, I have yet to make money from this, but I know at some point I will.
Right.
But I love doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying, making connections with people. I mean, you're sitting in the car with them for how many hours a day?
Yeah.
And it's like, you just get to talk to these people. And
yeah.
like with the Murray Sawchuck video from last week, I mean, when would I ever talk to somebody like that if I wasn't doing this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I think all the time. Everybody who gets in my car, I think I would probably never have met them before. And I like 99% of my clients. I really enjoy talking to them, even if it's just a short, you find something of some commonality or something that is interesting to you, So I'm a very curious person. My wife calls me Magic 8 Ball sometimes. I just ask a lot of questions because I am genuinely interested, So I think I've found like kind of the perfect calling for what I feed that curious mind. I find common interests with people, and it's just fun and familiar,
One thing I was genuinely happy and was kind of a little bit surprised for when I started doing this is how helpful people are. Because I mean, I always thought, oh yeah, people are helpful, but then when I started doing this, I have 1,000,001 questions. How do you do this? What's the best way to do that? And, everybody that I've talked to is always there they're there to help.
That is so true. That is so true. I mean, the clients I have, obviously, that when they refer me to their friends and family, that's a way to support. But I get lots of business support. I drive very successful people who are good at what they do in their careers and have a lot of good insights. And then on top of that, they want to put me in touch with people they know who can help me. So it's like if they like you, and people like to help the little guy. They like to help someone who's starting something new, somebody who is excited about what they're doing, just like you, So when, I said that to Andrew, your brother, any way I can help you, because I've had other people say that to me, like, all right, I'll refer people to you, but let me know also how else I can help you, and just letting people do that because they want to do it and it helps you. And then, I'll say the same thing to you. If there's any way I can help you, please let me know, because you like to see people who enjoy what they're doing and you want them to be successful, and I've found that's very powerful as well.
Yeah. The thought of good karma,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've met various people that are what you would call the Karens. They're very demanding and they're very like, I'm going to get my way come hell or high water. And that's such a short-sighted way to live life, I think, because like, yeah, you may get what you want right then and there, but nobody's going to like you or want to help you in the future.
Right.
I remember having an issue with my car and I went to the dealership and it was just, I was not getting the help that I needed time and time again. And I remember thinking, no matter how frustrated I was, yelling at this person is not going to get me anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, not only is it not going to get me the help that I need, I'm also going to alienate that person from me.
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime I come in there again, it's, here comes this kid again. Like,
right.
You know, and I mean, especially with you, if you were to be an overly abrasive person, well, you're probably not going to get the referrals that you need.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a client landed yesterday, and he said, I can't explain it now, but can you have like a half gallon of 2% milk in the car when I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, I can do that. It's like, he can explain it later, and he did, but he just wasn't going to have time the next morning. He had something else, and it was going to be too late for him to run to the store, and and I'm happy to do that. This is someone who I consider a friend. He's not only a client, he's a friend. I'm so happy to do whatever to help make people's lives easier. If they want to make a stop, if they need, I'm happy to do it. That's what I've found a kind of service mentality that I have, discovered it. And I enjoy it. And I enjoy like putting the kind of soda they like in the car, and after they've had a long day or a long trip, oh man, thanks for remembering I like that. That's a good, and it's just like adds to the experience. It builds the bond between me and them. And I just like, traveling can be grueling, you know what I mean? And if anything I can do to help someone get settled back into their home, smooth ride, safe ride home with their favorite soda, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah. Half gallon of milk.
Yeah. he needed milk for the morning, and he knew when he was landing and when he was going to have to be somewhere, there was no room to go to Bush's and buy some milk. So he asked me to bring it for him.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I know. I don't ask questions. You know what? If it helps them, and they'll tell me why, but it's like, hey, what do you need? I'm there,
Well, I think that was a good episode.
Okay, good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like you said, it goes fast.
It does. It's been 29 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Incredible. That went really fast. Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't have that clock, I would have thought we're at minute 15.
Right. No, well, thanks for having me. I'm rooting for you, and like I said, I'm sincere. Anything I can do to help you. And you're discovering what I'm discovering is that people want to help you. If you're kind to people and like you said, you're paying it forward and people like you, they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I think just be willing to accept that, because, it helps you. It helps them feel good. I think that's just a good way to be,
So before we go, what's one piece of advice you would give to somebody wanting to start in the chauffeur business, and where can they find you? Like what the website?
Yeah. The advice for someone who's starting a chauffeur business. I would say I would encourage you to do it somewhere for someone else and just understand the business and kind of, what are you going to do on it from a day-to-day basis, and make sure it's something you really enjoy. If it's something you enjoy, then I would say it's very low risk, because, if you can buy a vehicle, you can get the insurance. If it doesn't work out over whatever time period you set for yourself, you can always sell the vehicle. You can cut the insurance. There's really not any real sunk costs to it. So if you enjoy the work, go for it, because I think you'll find, as we talked about, if you're doing good work, word will spread and that business will come to you. So if you know you enjoy the work, I say go for it. Go jump in both feet, because the risk is pretty minimal, but the reward can be pretty high.
Mm-hmm. And then the website.
My website is worldclassdetroit.com. And you can find me on all of the social media channels: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. World Class Detroit. If you search World Class Detroit, you'll also see my Google business profile and my reviews and all that. So I have all those kind of fundamental channels in place. I don't have lots of followers on them, but they're all in place, and I'd love to meet you there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate you having me on.